know I got the receipts, girl. You know I got the receipts. Hey guys, welcome back to the Sweet Pea Diaries. It's your girl Sweet Pea and I am back with another video. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back to my channel. And if you are a new subscriber, welcome to the Sweet Pea Diaries. Be sure to like this video, share this video, but most importantly, be sure to subscribe to the channel. So you guys, thank you for being here. I'm so sorry. You know, of course, we're running behind. I was trying to put the clips together and get everything in order. We have a long show. We have court documents and everything to get through because we got to talk about Young Thug and Gunna. What is going on with the YSL camp? What's going on, you guys? Indicted on a RICO racketeering indictment. So we're going to jump into that. We're going to unpack that lawsuit as well as a 2020 lawsuit that YSL currently is in court battling it out with a promoter called AEG. They promote concerts and they had a deal with Young Thug and his company, and they allege that they are in multiple breach of contracts upwards to the tune of $6 million. Yes, this show is just starting. But before we get into that, we have to hear a quick word from our sponsor of tonight's video, which is Bright Cellars Wines. Bright Cellars is the monthly wine club that matches you with wine that you'll love. Get started by taking the Taste Palette quiz to see your personalized matches. Now, Bright Cellars matches you with wines from all over the world, curated to your taste buds. They are focused on finding unique hidden gems from small vineyards all over the world. And with hundreds of private label wines, you'll be able to try a new wine you've never tasted before. All you need to do is take their 7-question quiz so they can gather your taste preferences and deliver wines you're guaranteed to love. Each box is completely unique to your taste palette, meaning no box is ever the same. Each box comes with wine education cards for each bottle that outline the tasting notes, suggested pairings, best serving temperatures, and its origins. Wine wisdom cards help show you how to store and open your wine, keeping it tasting fresh for longer. Now, all Sweet Pea Diaries viewers will get 60% off your first purchase by clicking on the link in the description box below. Thanks again to Bright Cellars Wines for sponsoring this video. So yes, we are going to be covering tonight in this video. We're going to be talking about Young Thug, Gunna, arrested, indicted, child. They down there, you know, being the rap songs and videos and DAs, honey, they are listening to them songs and picking together, you know, putting together a case, picking apart them lyrics. And their case also is stemming from some previous run-ins that they had, Young Thug had with the law. So yeah, they were indicted this week, child. They went on down there to Young Thug's home, honey. Young Thug and Gunna, they were charged with racketeering in Atlanta. The indictment quotes multiple music videos as evidence and accuses alleged gang members of targeting other high-profile rap artists. Young Thug co-founded a violent street gang that committed multiple murders, shootings, and carjackings over roughly a decade and promoted its activities in songs and on social media. Prosecutors allege in a sprawling indictment that charges him, rapper Gunna, and 26 others with racketeering.
Millions may know him for music and the videos that go with it, but this is our video of a man identified as Jeffrey Williams, a.k.a. Young Thug. Both names are among more than 24 defendants charged in a sprawling Fulton County indictment. He's charged with conspiracy to violate the Racketeer, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act and participation in criminal street gang activity. His attorney, Brian Steele.
I'll tell you the response to any allegation is Mr. Williams committed no crime whatsoever, and we will fight to my last drop of blood to clear him.
There appeared to be a massive presence on Allison Drive in Buckhead by Atlanta police and perhaps others. The Fulton County District Attorney's Office confirms that's where Young Thug resides. The indictment says, quote, the objectives of the conspiracy included but were not limited to preserving, protecting, and enhancing the reputation, power, and territory of the enterprise through acts of racketeering activity, including murder, assault, and threats of violence. It describes a criminal street gang called YSL, starting in late 2012 in the Cleveland Avenue area of Atlanta. Quote, YSL claims affiliation with the National Bloods gang. Young Thug is one of 3 alleged to be YSL founders. Last week, Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis told us,
we expect that in coming days, weeks, and months that we will bring RICO indictments against gang members, even top-level gang members, to make sure that we rid them from our society.
We spoke to folks on Allison Drive.
We saw a lot of blue lights, saw those armored SWAT trucks, big gray trucks, 3 of them, I think. A lot of cops on foot, and they came in fast with lights and megaphones and kind of took up in the driveway and started pulling people out in handcuffs.
You live on this street?
Correct.
What was your reaction when you saw all this police activity?
It completely caught me off guard. This has been a very quiet street.
Pretty scary. My wife was able to take the kids and get out.
The DA's office confirms another one of the defendants, Christian Eppinger, an alleged YSL associate, is the same Eppinger accused of shooting Atlanta police officer David Rogers 6 times in February and seriously wounding him.
The indictment's got Young Thug and a bunch of other rappers. There was one name I was actually expecting to see there that I didn't, and that's Jack Harlow. Can you speak to that?
What I'll tell you is that as large as this indictment is, I told my team that let's not be sexy, now let's not overreach, let's be conservative in our approach, which is always the approach that I take. And in taking that approach, 28 defendants were indicted, and they were indicted for the crimes that I believe were appropriate for this RICO indictment. And so I won't speak to any.
I know it's early, but can you talk a little bit about the type of sentences they might be facing?
Well, we'll ask on the different charges for the maximum penalties, and there's obviously many people that are looking at life under this indictment. You're absolutely right. These are serious times. They're serious allegations, and it is my opinion that violence in our community deserves maximum penalties.
Ooh, child, she is not playing. Now, listen, there are multiple people on social media that are asking the question, well, why isn't Jack Harlow, why are they not including him in this indictment? Now, I don't know if he's associated, why people are making that association with, Gunna and YSL and Young Thug, because Jack Harlow is not signed to YSL. I'm not understanding why they are putting him in association with that label, but we're going to make that clear. Jack is not associated with that label. He is not signed to YSL. He is signed to Atlantic. He got his deal through the Atlantic Records family through DJ Drama and Don Cannon's Generation Now imprint. And he got that back in 2018. Now, there are some other artists that are on YSL, such as Lil Duke, Dolly White, Lil Keed, and Young KO. And that is just to name a few. There are other people associated with that label. Now, I don't know who is listed in that 28 count indictment. I really don't know. 28 person indictment. I do not know. But it's very clear that this is serious. And multiple people are looking at long-term sentences up to life. Now, some users even threw artists such as Queen Naja into this, saying, why is her name's not mentioned? I don't know why they're picking people and attaching them to Young Thug when they don't have nothing to do with this. It's like just because they've been, maybe done songs with them or been associated with them, just because that is the case doesn't mean that you could just start loading up names on an indictment. That doesn't make any sense at all. Now, it does not matter what your notoriety or fame is, okay? That's what prosecutors are saying from the DA's office. It says if you commit crimes in Georgia, you are going to become a target and a focus of the DA's office. And they said they are going to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Okay, now that's Fannie Willis. Fannie Willis is who you see in front of us, right? Fannie Willis is not playing with them. She ain't playing. Okay, she said she believes that crimes, gangs, they need to be punished to the highest that they can be punished. Now, Young Thug, we know his real name is Jeffrey Lamar Williams. And it says that in this article, it says, okay, so he's known as Jeffrey Lamar Williams. He co-wrote the hit This Is America with Childish Gambino, making history when it became the first hip-hop track to win the Song of the Year Grammy in 2019. Now, Fulton County prosecutors say that in late 2012, he and two others founded Young Slime Life, a violent criminal street gang that's commonly known as YSL and is affiliated with the National Bloods gang. He was arrested at his home in Buckhead. It was an upscale neighborhood north of downtown Atlanta. He's being held at first he went to Fulton County, but then I believe they transferred him to Cobb County. I want to say he was in fear or threat of his life or something like that. So they transferred him because in the beginning he was in Buckhead originally. And then I guess because of the gang that he's affiliated with, they transferred him out of that Fulton County. And he's now in Cobb County, I wanna say. Okay. But when they went up in there and they got him, as you can see what the people were saying on the block, that it was a lot of cops, it was a lot of undercover, people dressed in undercover, task force. They went out there and they did what they do. They had the, ready to kick the doors down. They went out there. Now, they have went as far as back as 2012, 2015, combing through these lyrics, saying that there's crimes that they've committed and had other people commit, saying that they are targeting other rappers such as YF and Lucci. Now, Young Thug's lawyer, Brian Steele, he's also representing Gunna. So I'm thinking that Brian Steele is probably the lawyer for YSL for the label, So he's representing the both of them. But he said that he is committed to proving that Young Thug committed no crime whatsoever. And he said he's going to fight till his last drop of blood to clear him. Now, also, of course, charged in this indictment was rapper Gunna, whose real name is Sergio Kitchens, and then an aspiring rapper named Christian Eppinger, who was already in jail and accused of shooting an Atlanta police officer 6 times in February. Now, Gunna, who is accused of conspiracy to violate the RICO Act, he was not in custody as of Tuesday afternoon when Young Thug was taken into, Monday, when Young Thug was taken into custody. And 2 days after that, he actually turned himself in. But in addition to specific charges, the indictment includes a wide-ranging list of 181 acts that prosecutors say were committed starting in 2013 as part of the alleged RICO conspiracy to further the gang's interests. In 2015, Young Thug rented an Infiniti sedan that 5 alleged gang members used when they shot and killed a rival gang member, the indictment says. Now, Williams and Kitchens in 2017 had methamphetamine, hydrocodone, and marijuana that they intended to distribute and were involved in a traffic stop the following year in which one of the vehicles had numerous weapons with high-capacity magazines, including an AK-47. You heard what I said. That's a high-powered rifle, okay? Now, according to the indictment, it quotes lyrics from multiple music video appearances by Williams, who is, when they say Williams, they are referring to Young Thug when they say his last name, Williams. So now, according to a music video that they are quoting lyrics from, he's saying, I never killed anybody, but I got something to do with that body. And I told them to shoot 100 rounds. Now, the DA said she respects the First Amendment right to free speech, but she believes the song lyrics cited in the indictment are overt and predicate acts that support the RICO charge. She said the First Amendment does not protect people from prosecutors using it as evidence if it is so. Now, the indictment also accuses members of the gang of trying to kill rapper YSL, like I said. Now, his given name is Rayshawn Bennett, and they said that they attempted to kill him by stabbing at him with a shank in the Fulton County Jail. So they're accusing members of the gang, but they're not saying that, of course, Young Thug and Gunna did it. They're saying that they probably ordered it, or that because these people are YSL, they were trying to take YSL out by stabbing him in. Now, y'all remember when he was being made fun of in the blogs for getting stabbed up in jail? Well, they're saying that the YSL was the cause of that. They put in the order for it. Now, YSL was among a dozen people charged in another gang-related RICO indictment in Fulton County a year ago. They coming down on these rappers in Georgia. I don't know if there's some type of law. I don't know if they've been tapping people's phones. They've been going into them cell phones and them iPhones and that damn 5G. I don't know. But something going on over there in Georgia. They are popping these goddamn rappers that are tied to these gangs. I don't know, anybody in the comments, anybody catching the replay, anybody in the chat know anything about what's going on in Georgia? How they finding all this? I mean, what are they doing? Like, how are they connecting these boys with this activity that are supposed rappers and high level rappers and got all this money and supposed to be, living high level? How are they connecting them to these street crimes? Now, the indictment also says it was an alleged gang member who shot at a bus in 2015 that was carrying rapper Lil Wayne. The DA says she plans to seek the maximum possible penalties for the people charged in the indictment. For at least some of them, that could mean life in prison. Now, the conspiracy allegation arises from an alleged event on January 24th, 2013, while the gang charge originates from a May 12, 2018 incident. So they got conspiracy, they got all types of charges. Now, Young Thug made his first appearance before the judge for a bond hearing. And his bond hearing was actually, had a lot of people on there. I believe his family, it was a Zoom hearing. It was not in person because of COVID. It was on Zoom. So I believe it was a lot of people present on there. And I think some of them was his family. But I don't know how this, when you see this clip and you see the end of it, I think one of the jail employees released this or taped, and screenshotted this and sent this out to the blogs because, honey, watch what you see this person doing at the end of the video. But this right here is actually Young Thug's bond hearing.
Mr. Steele, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. How are you, sir?
Good, always good to see you.
I feel the same, Your Honor. Always.
You doing okay?
I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad we were able to fit you in. Sorry you had to wait a minute. I appreciate your patience. Let me set up the case first. This is Position 20, case number 22 CP 208957, Jeffrey Williams. And I want to say good afternoon to you, Mr. Williams. I'm Judge Wolf. This is your felony first appearance. Good afternoon. We're doing this remotely because of COVID. You have the right to remain silent. You're presumed innocent, and you have the right to an attorney. Your lawyer, Mr. Steele, is on the call. So let me start with you, Mr. Steele. This is a first appearance. Do you want to be heard on probable cause or just bond?
We will be heard on bond, Your Honor.
Okay. So let me ask, is this your case, Mr. Smith?
Yes, Judge.
And is this part of that same indicted case or something different?
That is correct. It is part of the indicted case, Judge.
Okay, if you could announce that first, and then we'll go from there.
Yes, Judge. So these charges, these warrants stem from indictment number 22 SC 1822273 as well, Your Honor. Would you like me to go ahead and proceed with my position on bond as well, Judge, or?
Yes, please.
Okay. So it's the state's position that given Mr. Williams access to resources, and given that we're still in the process of apprehending everyone on that larger indictment, Your Honor, it's the state's position that he is a flight risk, as well as there's a clear risk to hinder the administrations of justice, Your Honor. Officers executed a search warrant at the home of Mr. Williams. They recovered large quantity of drugs, several firearms, one of which including a automatic switch, making it a fully automatic machine gun. And given the nature of these allegations of bond, Your Honor, we would respectfully request that you deny bond.
And I just want to understand, Mr. Smith, you're saying that Mr. Steele's client, Mr. Williams, he was indicted on that same 22 SC 182273 or not?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And I thought that it was the state's position per the delegation order from Judge Brasher that this court, me being a magistrate court judge, that I don't have authority to consider bond. Is that the case, or are you saying that I do?
And just to clarify, Your Honor, with that indictment, that was a direct indictment. These are additional warrants that were taken out stemming from that particular indictment. Whether or not these new warrants will become a part of that indictment, a decision has not been made as of yet.
Got it. But they're within the four corners of indictment 22 SC 182273. These warrants are not part of that indictment.
That is correct, Your Honor.
It would require a re-indictment if the state chose to do so.
That is correct.
Okay, so you do agree that these charges have not been assigned to Judge Plainville, they're unindicted, and it would be for the court to consider today?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay, I understand. And it goes beyond Mr. Steele's case with Mr. Williams, but I just want to know for future reference today, Mr. Smith, I appreciate the update. Position 18, Diamante Kendrick. Position 19, Martinez Arnold, they're in the same posture, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay, got it. And Mr. Steele, just to bring you up to speed as well, there was a co-defendant or someone related, Sergio Kitchens, who was on the calendar earlier, represented by Mr. Samuel. His case, though, for today was strictly the case that was indicted a couple days ago. That was a different situation. I'm going to treat this just like a regular first appearance. So with that in mind, let me go back to you, Mr. Steele. Do you want to be heard on probable cause, or do you want to just be heard on bond?
Bond, Your Honor.
Okay, got it. So the court does find probable cause based on warrants, Mr. Williams, for the following charges: possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, possession of Schedule 3, 4, or 5 controlled substance with intent to distribute, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, possession of a sawed-off shotgun, a sawed-off rifle, I think in this case the allegation is a machine gun, dangerous weapon or silencer, unlawful for a person employed or associated with a certain organization to conduct or participate in that organization, unlawful for, and there are three.
His 18 cycles beginning in 2008, he was a multi-state offender with arrest from the states of California and Georgia. Last arrest was...
My apologies. The screen kind of froze, and he left off with the judge saying 3 substance. So there was a part that he missed.
Okay. Well, let me just kind of back up. What I was saying was, sir, the court does find probable cause for possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, possession of a Schedule 3, 4, or 5 substance with intent to distribute, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and possession of a machine gun. And then there are 3 counts about unlawful association with certain groups. I don't know, Mr. Steele, if you want me to waive sounding of what the actual charge is. I was trying to talk around it. Those are the 3 charges that relate to the first 3 charges. That was the last thing I said, sir. So I now heard from pretrial 18 cycles starting in 2008 out of California and Georgia. Ms. Gordon, do you show anything else?
The last arrest was November of 2018 for possession of methamphetamine with intent to distribute, purchase, possession, manufacture, distribution, or sale of marijuana. And that was in DeKalb County. No disposition listed, no felony convictions listed on the GCIC, nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, what's the state's bond recommendation, please?
My recommendation is that Mr. Williams remain in a no bond status, Your Honor. I'll reiterate, he's at a significant flight risk given his access to resources. There's also a clear risk of hindering the administration of justice, given that we have not apprehended everyone on the larger indictment, Your Honor, and given he's also at a risk of committing additional felonies. As you see, within the last arrest, there was a possession of methamphetamines, and I believe officers also recovered that during the execution of their search warrant. So we would ask that bond be denied, Your Honor.
Do you show, though, that he has no felony convictions?
I believe that is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you from the state. Mr. Steele, please tell me about Mr. Williams and any bond recommendation you have, sir.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Thank you for everything you do. Honorable Prosecutor Smith, thank you. Mr. Williams, good afternoon. Your Honor, Mr. Williams is 30 years of age. He is an incredible human being walking among us. He has grown up in rubble here in the Cleveland Avenue area. He has made it where he has performed musically on every continent in this world except for Antarctica. He has performed his music in front of as many as 300,000 people at a time. He is signed to a record label. You have members of the record label on your Zoom link now if you want to hear from him. He just got back from Norway, from performing in Norway and he got back the Sunday before Monday when law enforcement officers executed a search warrant on his home based upon the grand jury warrant. I was there at that time, Your Honor. There were at least 10 people who were in the house with Mr. Williams. These items that are being litigated now before your honorable court for those charges, those unindicted charges, all come from the execution of a search warrant. We are not agreeing that we are responsible for any type of crime. Mr. Williams has never been convicted of any type of felony. I have defended him for at least 10, if not more years, Your Honor. He is not a convicted felon. His case in DeKalb County arises out of a show that he was performing on the Jimmy Fallon show. He was going to an airport in DeKalb County on a private plane. He's in the car with 2 other people, and at that scene of that traffic stop, on body camera, another person took full responsibility of any type of illegal contraband. The Honorable DeKalb County Superior Court Judge Adams heard motion to suppress. I have the honor of representing Mr. Williams, granted the motion to suppress. The state appeal, it got reversed, and I have been trying to get that case done with in DeKalb County. It's now 4 years old, and they have not shown any type of interest in moving the case. And I have letter after letter begging that this case be disposed of and Mr. Williams be cleared. Your Honor, Mr. Williams owns homes here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. I don't disagree that people would consider that he has substantial resources. That is not a negative, that is a positive. He is not a flight risk. He has come back every single time from being anywhere located around this world. He would surrender his passport to me, although I believe law enforcement officers may have this passport, but if not, I will get that passport and I could surrender it to the sheriff, the court, hold it myself, whatever the court states. As far as interfering with the administration of justice, as argued by the honorable prosecutor, there is not a scintilla of evidence that Mr. Williams has done anything to try to obstruct justice or try to hinder people from turning themselves in or being arrested. In fact, when law enforcement officers came to his home, I was there, Your Honor, I'm telling you firsthand, he was nothing but cooperative. He had his 14-year-old son with him at that time. In addition to that, the fact that the prosecution wants there is going to be no evidence. You can craft, if you deem it appropriate, a bond order that he cannot be around weapons, although he's lawfully allowed to do it, but for purposes of bond, you can craft that order. The fact that he never obstructed the administration of justice. He's always come back to court when required to do so because I have defended him on those cases, and any issues dealing with any other IALA factors, including intimidation of witnesses, they are not here. We are going to fight this case, Your Honor, all the way through until the prosecution either surrenders or a jury reaches its verdict. And I would ask you to please set a reasonable bond with whatever conditions you want. Now, with all that being said, I am not immune to what you said earlier. I understand that you have no jurisdiction, I heard you say that earlier, to deal with the indicted offense, so I understand that even if you do set bond here today, which is what I respectfully request, Mr. Williams is still in custody because we do have a pending indictment and we're waiting for the Honorable Judge Glanville to set the hearing date for that bond.
Mr. Steele, two quick questions. One is, do you have a specific bond number in mind that you're asking the court to consider?
Yes, I would ask for a signature bond. There is no reason that Mr. Williams on these charges should have anything other than respectfully a signature bond. If you don't believe that that is appropriate, Your Honor, then whatever bond you believe to be reasonable, we will, I don't mind telling you, we will make the bond.
Okay, thank you. And also, just one last question, Mr. Steele, if you don't mind. You alluded to other people being on the call now. I leave that completely up to you. If you want them to be heard, if it's relevant to the issue of bond.
Mr. Williams manager, record label, and he is widely popular, Your Honor. Mr. Williams he's like the Babe Ruth of the.
Now, I would not say that Young Thug is like the Babe Ruth of the rap game. Now, come on, okay? He went a little bit too far there. Said Young Thug is like Babe Ruth.
The musical industry. So, and you just got on your screen, Your Honor, two people. I actually will vouch for them. They have been nothing but professional. I've known them for years, and that is the two people who I believe, if you could just raise your hands for the Honorable Court to see you, and if you have any questions, Your Honor, these are people. They are not convicted felons. They are business people. They are college graduates, and they have been around the world with Mr. Williams.
Okay, well, I do want to just acknowledge their presence here today. I always thank anybody who's here on a case. It could be someone here on behalf of the defense, it can be the victim, whoever it is. We always welcome everybody to the court, and I do consider your support of Mr. Williams as I consider bond at this time. And Mr. Smith, to be fair to both sides, do you have anybody on this call?
State does not, Your Honor.
Okay.
Honey, those was the two people, Garfield Larman and that other guy, Jeffrey Odelesi. Those was the two people that I guess was speaking up for Young Thug, honey. These were the college graduates. These were the two people that were going to speak on his behalf as character witnesses, honey. Garfield, look at Garfield. Look at Jeffrey Ongalesi. Jeffrey Ongalesi.
Smith, to be fair to both sides, do you have anybody on this call?
And Garfield, honey. Garfield, go on, Garfield. Garfield said it's me. What you talk about, Willis? what you talk about, Willis? What you talk about, Mr. Drummond?
State does not, Your Honor.
Okay, I'd want to acknowledge anybody on either side of the case. But gentlemen, thank you to both of you. Now, I do want to just clarify, Ms.
Garfield, he is the MVP. Garfield. Garfield, what you talking about?
Of Mr. Williams, as I consider bond at this time. And Mr. Smith, to be fair to both sides, do you have anybody on this call?
What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about, Willis? All he know is he showed up. They paid him. They said, "Did you get your cut? Did y'all cash app Garfield?"
Not Your Honor. Okay, I want to acknowledge anybody on either side of the case. But gentlemen, thank you to both of you. Now, I do want to just clarify.
Garfield looked like he was getting ready to fall asleep. Garfield was off that lean and them perks that they left in that house, honey. Them leans and perks that they went back and raided the house for the next day and found all that shit. Garfield was in there. Garfield looked like he was getting ready to fall asleep.
Gentlemen, thank you to both of you. Now,
look at Garfield. Look at. Garfield looked like he was getting ready to fall asleep.
Clarify, Mr. Smith. My understanding is that Mr. Williams, Jeffrey Williams, was indicted a couple days ago on the 22 SC.
It's funny to me, Cartier. It's a joke. Lighten up, boo.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And any
lighten up, honey.
To be considered on that case, per the delegation order from Judge Brasher, is going to go to Judge Glanville, and that's not before me today.
That's also correct.
Okay. And it's the state's position. You're asking for no bond. Mr. Steele's asking for a reasonable bond. preferably an unsecured judicial release. The reason for this.
You know what's so funny? You know why it's so funny? I don't know why you guys, why people would be so serious about this, because I don't feel any remorse. I don't feel sorry. I don't feel anything for Gunna and Young Thug. I think it is hilarious that they are in this situation, because you had the opportunity to make it out of the hood, make it out of the ghetto. You know how many people would die for that chance? You're given all of these, expensive cars and money and jewelry and all this stuff as advances, and you're able to put your children in a position so that they don't have to grow up like you grow up, and your ass is out here still committing crimes and caught up in gang activity. I think it is hilarious, and I don't feel sorry for them at all. So I'm looking for the humor in any of it, because I don't take any of this serious, because as them being adults and as them being grown ass men, they shouldn't even be in this situation. So I don't think I'm not serious about it. I'm not all staunch about it, because they put themselves in this situation. I made a joke about him. Oh, I'm not coming for you. I'm just stating. It was funny because he looked funny to me. And I'm not coming for you. I'm just saying they don't have I don't feel any remorse for them at all. They shouldn't be in this position. You know how many people look up to them? They have this man in front of this lawyer, in front of the judge, who does not give a damn about what he's saying, okay? Because you were a flight risk, deemed a flight risk, and your bail was denied because just because you are not a felon, you were in this position before. You had charges before. You're still battling drug charges and guns and everything, and you still out here committing crimes. And you thought you're going to go before a judge and he was going to look you out after they let your ass go on bond the first time, and you still went on to commit additional felonies? I don't know why he thought he was going to get a bond.
State's request is risk of flight and considerations going to people who've not been arrested yet, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor, in addition to... that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, Mr. Steele, I just want to be clear on this. Your client has no felony convictions. He does have an open DeKalb felony case from 4 years ago. So it's a while ago now. It's been up on appeal. It's back in the DA's office. Your perspective is it's not really getting any traction at this point, but the allegations are meth with intent and sale of marijuana.
There's a small amount. They're in a car. He's with two other people. The items are in a briefcase, and on the body camera, a passenger stated that that's my drugs. And
yes,
that's it.
Okay. Thank you both. You both do a great service to your clients, and it makes the court's job, I think, a lot easier to do. So thank you both. Now, let me get back to you, Mr. Williams. So the court does find probable cause for the listed charges, like I mentioned earlier, based on the warrants. And at this time, the court's not going to set a bond. I do find that you're a flight risk, and I do agree for bond purposes with the entirety of the state's argument. I will say also, though, the court is very strongly considering that you've got 22 SC 182873 related to this same investigation before Judge Glanville. And I don't want to restrict Judge Glanville from making a decision on bond in regards to everything, so that he can balance everything. So that's the order of the court today. It's no bond for those reasons.
Your Honor, can I ask a question?
Of course.
Yeah, no bond.
The flight risk of a gentleman who has major ties to this community and grew up here, but then you stated that you don't want to bind Judge Glanville. Is it the order of your court that you want to pass this to Judge Glanville? Because your order of no bond will restrict Mr. Williams.
I agree. I don't know how else to say it. The court agrees with the state's argument for this bond hearing today that your client is a flight risk, that he has traveled extensively. Even if you turned in his passport, that would not restrict his travel outside the state of Georgia. He has a lot of support, it appears, outside the state of Georgia. It might be hard to get him back to Georgia if he were to leave the state, and that could not restrict his interstate travel. I also mentioned Judge Glanville to consider that there's an open related case that at this point does not have a bond. And so it also makes sense for Judge Glanville to consider everything and for him not to be hamstrung by any decision that the court makes today. So it's not passing the buck, it's making a decision today based on what's in front of me now.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes.
You can set a condition that Mr. Williams is on an ankle monitor and confined to an area and not leave the state, but I would ask the court to please reconsider, because what you're doing now is setting a precedent of a risk of flight when there is zero evidence. The man leaves the country because of work.
Well, I will also add that there's a risk of committing additional felonies for the reason that there's an open possession of methamphetamine with intent and sale of marijuana case pending, and that those are the same charges alleged here. Allegations.
Now, are you listening to that? You're asking for a bond, but you have the same charges pending, and you're right back before a judge with the same charges again. So what made you think that you were going to get a bond? You are at a flight risk, and you are at risk for committing additional felonies. And he was about to get away with just that being the stipulation, that he's a flight risk. Well, with the attorney kept asking the judge, if I might, please, can I please interject? Can you hear me again? Now the judge is getting ready to add on another stipulation. He just made it worse for his client. Should have just accepted and moved on. Now he's getting ready to add on more things.
In both cases, Mr. Williams, you're presumed innocent. I know Mr. Steele is already zealously representing you. But if we could put that on the order as well, that's no bond, risk to commit additional felonies as well.
Now you hear that? See, at first it was just going to be a flight risk, but now since you wanted to keep interjecting, so now let's go ahead and slap that on there too, that you're at risk to commit additional felonies. Why, if I were to let you out, you would just go right back and do the same thing again, because you proved that you're right before me with the same thing again from your previous charges.
I appreciate your argument, Mr. Steele. Nobody does it better, but that's the order of the court. So any other issues on bond need to go in front of Judge Glanville down the road.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Very nice to see you. And again, to the people on the call supporting Mr. Williams, today means the world to him, and the court appreciates you being with us here today. Mr. Smith, anything else for the state?
Nothing further from the state at this time other than the additional 2 positions on the calendar, Judge.
Yes, and let's get to that in just a moment. Mr. Steele, anything?
Now, honey, look at that daggone employee. If you look at the condition of that jail, that's a court iPhone. And that's a court employee. I don't know if he was the one that was recording the screen. I don't know. But whoever was recording this screen, they got a shot of him in a corner down there. And you can see the background. The chips on the walls. It looks dirty. It is disgusting. Look at that.
Not today.
That is disgusting. That is disgusting. So it is not a surprise to me that Young Thug would actually try to petition the court. After this hearing, he tried to have his attorneys petition the court, declaring that he is in horrible conditions, that his housing is inhumane and torturous. So like I said, he was initially booked into Fulton County, but because of his gang activity and gang affiliations, they switched him to Cobb County for his own safety. Now, in this motion, his lawyers called the conditions that he is being housed in inhumane, saying that he's being held in solitary confinement in a windowless cement room as if he is a forgotten person alone in the world. Says he is being held in a cement small area. There's a light on at all times. He gets inedible food, and he has no contact with any human being except for his lawyers. The lawyers said that the lights are kept on 24 hours a day, preventing him from sleeping, and that he has no access to any type of media. They said he is not being given the opportunity to exercise, shower, or have any human interaction other than with his attorneys. Now, the Cobb County Sheriff came back and said that he is being held in administrative solitary confinement for his own safety, and that the lights stay on so that the officers can check in to make sure that everything is okay. Now, I know that that is a complaint. I've heard that from people that's been locked up. They say that it's cold in there. They have the air. Hey, together we break change. Chains. My tongue is tied, child. It's late. Hey, honey, I see you. Cartier, yep, there's like 28 people on this indictment. I don't know who the other people are, like the names or a list. I haven't seen it, but I know that they're part of the YSL gang or group or label or whatever. So yes, and as you heard what the DA, what she said, the district attorney's office, she said that they are facing very serious charges, and some of them are looking at life as a punishment. So with Young Thug, his lawyers, they are saying that it is not humane, it's not fit. And when you seen, I showed you the end of that clip, you can see the chip paint, you can see the conditions, and we know what the inside of a jail looks like. We see, that the cells are small. We see it on the little Netflix specials or Cops or whatever shows. You see that these jail cells are small. And yeah, it probably is inhumane. But you're in prison, jail, county jail, whatever you want to call it. That's where you are. And unfortunately, when you're in the county, it's worse. Now, when you get shipped upstate or when you get shipped to the feds and stuff like that, it does get a little better. The conditions might be a little bit more sterile. Your room might be a little bit more cleaner and not as bad as the county. But the county, unfortunately, is very nasty. It's not clean because you got people coming in and out of there from the streets. They're not staying there long. They're coming in and out for petty crimes and stuff. And some people are there for murder and, serious crimes, but everybody got to come through that county first. So it's extremely crowded. It's dirty, nasty, stinky. Food is disgusting, but that's what you get when you go to jail. And that's why you can't be going to jail. And if you look at these boys, look at them, look at the pictures that are flashing before you. They got on jewelry. They got on $1 million chains. They are used to being in mansions. They used to living good. To go from that's like got to be a culture shock. You got to be shell shocked. You done just went from chilling in a mansion, chilling and eating and drinking and doing whatever it is that you want to do, to that. That is a definite culture shock. That is a definite wake up call. But that's what they're going to be looking at. That's what that's what they're facing if they are found guilty. Unfortunately, that's just what it's going to be. If you do the crime, you're going to do the time. This is why if you are blessed, God put you in a position to be a rapper and make money and become an artist and take your family out the ghetto, take them out the hood. You're supposed to leave the ghetto and you're supposed to move on to bigger and better things. They go get these mansions and all that, but they still have activity in the hood. They still be dealing with old people, places, and things, because you cannot just take, and I blame these record labels. I keep telling people this. And people don't want to People don't want to believe it, and they don't want to digest what I say when I say that these record labels, some of this is them to blame. They feed them with the lean, the pills, the perks, the weed. They let them do all this. They get them this shit. They have access to it. Have you heard with the celebrities, with the tell-all books and the tell-all interviews, they say that they go to the studio sessions and they go to these parties and the record execs is asking them, what's your poison? We can get you whatever it is that you want. They let them sit up there and get high and pop pills and drink lean and do all this shit while they supposed to be recording and supposed to be artists, but they're feeding them drugs, feeding them whatever it is that they want, allowing them to just go buck wild. And these are people that are coming from the hood. They're not used to having nothing. So you take somebody like that and give them millions of dollars, no kind of training, no kind of etiquette, no kind of counseling, no kind of therapy, no nothing. So what are they going to do? They just going to go buck wild. And usually your manager or someone like that should be working, what do I say all the time? Artist development. They should have their management teams, their brand consultants, their image consultants, these people working with them to help them polish up on their etiquette, on their life, on their skills. Putting them in counseling, letting them get therapy, helping them to deal with issues trauma that they have, the brokenness that they coming from. These boys are coming from the ghetto, coming from the hood. The attorney want to sit before the judge and tell him that, he grew up in the rubbles, nothing. Right. And he now is a millionaire. So he shouldn't even be involved in this type of stuff. Shouldn't be involved in it. They speak about it in the songs. They rap about this. They promote violence, drug use, gang activity. And then when things like this happen, people are surprised. What are you surprised? They're rapping about it in the songs. They're clearly telling you what it is that they do. And that's what the DAs and the cops and everybody, investigators, that's what they're starting to pick up as well. Hey, they're rapping about this shit. And they got crimes on the streets that need to be solved. And they hear some of these lyrics and put two and two together and say, oh, they talking about this. They're talking about that. And back in the day when we were growing up and we knew people that participated in crime, the OGs and all that, while they weren't doing right either, they lived by different code sets. They lived by different mind frames. It was just certain things you didn't say. When you did your dirt, you did it. You didn't repeat things. You don't brag about it. Most of the time you do things alone. And if you do rock with a crew, it better be people you can trust. People most of the time took their time, did their time. These young people, they can't do no time. They gonna be singing, lips flapping. They can't do no time. They're gonna miss the limelight, miss the luxury cars, miss the homes. He's saying these conditions are implorable. They are inhumane. Yeah, they probably are. But people are used to that. They go in and out of jail. Y'all are not used to jail. You're used to mansions. You're used to ritziness. You're high level now. Look at these clothes they got on. Look at the jewelry they got on. But they want to rap about it, but don't think this shit gonna come knocking at their door. They want to still take part in the street life, having millions of dollars, still doing dirt, and don't think that it's gonna come knocking at their door. Because on one hand, they now got money and they think they're untouchable. The egos are, hyper, super enlarged. The egos are now because they got the money. And now they think they untouchable. They think they can do whatever they want. You're talking about the lights are on 24 hours a day. That's jail. What you want them to turn it? They want to turn the lights out? They ain't going to turn the lights out, thugga thugga. The lights are on. And that air is blasting too. And they not even going to give you a blanket. You're going to have a sheet. You better make it do what it do. But this is what you chose this. Exactly, simply, Erica. They chose that. This is what you chose. You could have got your family together, gathered up, and got out of Dodge and lived. And you want to talk about how you traveling. You done been to every country. And if I was the judge, I would have said, and he has access to all that, and he's that type of a pillar in the community, you're saying, that he does activism and he does work and he supports the community, but still and yet he's involved in a gang that is committing murder, racketeering. You know, they're putting hits out on people in jail. They're selling drugs. But then you want to sit up in front of that judge and say that he is a fixture in the community? How? How's he a fixture? Oh, because he's employing the young kids by giving them jobs as drug dealers, as, you know, hitmen. He's employing them, allowing them to sell lean and weed and tote guns for him. He can rent them a car so they can go and do his dirt. That judge had no sympathy, didn't care nothing about what that lawyer was saying. The lawyer had more respect for him. The lawyer knew the judge, and the judge had more respect for the lawyer than he did for Young Thug. All right. So I'm not, you know, heartless at all. Like, I understand that it's got to be, you know, a complete culture shock to go from living in a mansion to, you know, being in jail with chip paint and dog food to eat. Definitely a culture shock. But what do you think is going to happen? Cherries 22 says the record company set them up for failure. Record companies want them to talk about that stuff. Exactly. They want to, you know, make money off of their pain, make money off of their trauma, their experiences. Yeah, he's a thug guy. He's a street guy. You know, he's going to sell us a lot of records. You know, the kids identify with that. You know, and meanwhile, they're just terrorizing the cities, the streets, terrorizing neighborhoods, involved in drive-by shootings that are killing children, innocent kids that are out playing. You know, when you guys think about these things and you think that you want to, oh, well, you know, it's racist because it's Young Thug and, you know, they're being racist against him because he's a black man with money and he's a rapper. He's being targeted. His amendment, you know, his freedom of speech is being taken from him. He's a rapper. He should be able to say his lyrics shouldn't be used against him. Why are you promoting violence? Why are you promoting the use of lyrics that are talking about killing each other, about black men killing black men? Why are you defending that? They shouldn't be rapping about that in the first place. There's other things that they can rap about. When we were coming up, we rapped about self-destruction. You're headed for self-destruction. We rapped about positivity positive things. We rapped about the community. Brenda's Got a Baby, Tupac. You know, they rapped about stuff that made sense and made a difference, empowering a community. You know, I heard Jada Chiefs, you know, on one of these blogs saying that men are not the same from the 90s, 80s and 90s. They don't treat women the same. Well, you know, you Instagram sensations, Instagram thoughts, models, whatever they want to call it, you guys have a lot to do with that. The images that you portray, you know, the message that you send to young women about being half naked on Instagram and getting body surgeries and implants and all of this. Pretty is in the, you know, what you look like in your body. You are sending a message that this is what you should be attaining to be. You should, you know, want to be what I am. And then, you know, you're going to get a rapper. You're going to get a athlete. You know, you're going to get a successful baller. They got money. And if he ain't got no money, you don't want him. And then what do? They treat you like anything because they feel like you going to be around me because I got this money. And then they're calling you bees and hoes and sluts and all this shit in these rap songs. Look at you and Lil Baby. Y'all have a relationship that is on again, off again. It plays all out in front of everybody. But look at the type of stuff he says in his songs. These are women that call my bitch, my bitch, my bitch, my you know, and y'all, yeah, I'm that bitch. I mean, and then you say men don't treat women with respect. I guess not. I mean, look what you're promoting. I guess not. You know, So these are, yes, these are someone's sons, these are someone's fathers, these are someone's brothers or whatever, but they are also out here causing havoc, wreaking havoc. They have been involved in, committing crimes that has led to people being killed, that has led to officers being murdered, that has led to someone, YF and Lucci being in jail and them trying to shank him. And he's down in there for some type of RICO related stuff. I mean, come on. When is this going to be over with? When are they going to stop? Enough already. So I don't feel sorry for him. I just don't. So his lawyer says he will be vindicated, and he says this is wrong. He said he's being treated the exact same as a person next door to him who's been arrested, tried, and convicted for murder and sentenced to death. So he should be treated different because he's Young Thug, he's got money, and he hasn't been convicted of anything. He's being treated just like the person next to him that's been arrested, tried, and convicted for murder and sentenced to death, as if to say his treatment would be justified because he's a murderer and was sentenced to death. But my client hasn't been sentenced and he hasn't been found guilty of anything, so he should be treated different. The air should be turned off for him. The light should be out for him. Sir, you are in there with people that have committed the same crimes as you, whether you're accused or you haven't been charged yet, or whatever you want to say. You've been charged, but I mean, you're accused and you haven't been found guilty yet. That means nothing. You're just a number in there. Nobody cares that you're Young Thug. Nobody cares that you're Gunna. So, of course, like I said, they denied the bond. They are saying that he is being held in isolation and he is not even being given access to televisions, windows, showers, and other surroundings that pretrial detainees typically receive. I mean, this is stuff that everyone should receive, but they're saying he's a pretrial detainee, so he should be getting a TV, access to the TV, windows, showers, and other things. Now, I do know, like I said, when you're in the county, I don't know what the shower situation is like. I don't know if it's bigger, smaller areas. I don't know. But they have a lot of people that come in and out of that county, and it's sometimes overcrowded. So, you be having multiple people sleeping in these things. So he better be glad that he's by himself in the solitary confinement, because he could be packed in with everybody else like a sardine. Stinking, musty, people pissing, shitting, people that's addicted to stuff. They come in there with withdrawals and shitting and pissing everywhere. He could be around that, but you are in solitary confinement by yourself. Okay? So you better be thankful for that. But his lawyer is basically just saying that Young Thug needs to be held in better conditions. And he said that actually his arrest was a violation of his First and 14th Amendment right, which protects freedom of speech and expression, because he's disputing claims that he once rented a car that was later used in a murder. They're saying that this is not true. He did not rap about this. None of these accusations are true, and you're using his rap lyrics against him, and just because he rapped about this stuff does not mean that he actually did it and that it's associated to any type of a crime. So lawyers argue that Young Thug should be given the opportunity to post bond because he is not a convicted felon, he's not a flight risk, he's not a danger to the community, and he is at risk to contract COVID, and that he is not at a risk to commit a felony while out on bond or at risk to bribe anyone before the trial. And they're saying, it's, COVID is a thing. We don't want our client to catch that, so you need to let him go. Now, his lawyer said the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, and all texts of humanity, as well as any person with a conscience, would understand that housing a human being under these conditions in America is an original colony when he has no prior felony record, denies any allegation of wrongdoing, and he's never been anything but cooperative, lawful, and peaceful with the authorities and is presumed to be innocent until proven guilty. Mr. Williams is being unlawfully and terribly mistreated by the authorities. So that's where we're at with Young Thug. His lawyer, says he's in jail. They want him freed. And not the signature bond, okay? They wasn't even trying to offer no money up. Said he really should have a signature bond, Your Honor. And I mean, that's true, because anyone else, even if they, committed some type of crimes, if they don't have a felony record or something like that, and if they weren't a millionaire, usually they would just give them a signature bond. So he's saying, although he could post whatever bail you set forth, he said it, we'll post it. He basically said, whatever you put out there, he'll make bail. But we would much rather him have a signature bond like any other person would have. And just because he's got money, why charge him? Well, the judge said, I'm not even entertaining a bond at all. So whether it's a signature bond, I don't give a damn, because he's not getting out. Okay. And then Gunna, 2 days later, after Young Thug was booked, Gunna actually turned himself in. He went on down to the Fulton County and turned himself in. Now, he is accused of conspiring to violate the RICO Act. In addition to the RICO Act violation and criminal street gang activity, he is accused of possession with the intent to distribute methamphetamine, hydrocodone, and marijuana, and theft by receiving stolen property. Now, the prosecution claims that YSL sought to increase its power and its reputation through acts of racketeering activity, including murder, assault, and threats of violence, while also using the songs, videos, and social media posts of popular affiliated artists like Gunna to increase its influence and visibility. In the third section of the indictment, titled Acts in Furtherance of the Conspiracy, Gunna is accused of possession of various drugs with the intent to distribute, street gang activity, and having knowingly received stolen property. The indictment also references a May 2018 incident where Gunna and Young Thug were stopped for speeding, and a car that was closely following theirs contained guns. Now, Gunna's name is mentioned significantly fewer times than Young Thug's throughout the indictment, and Young Thug is also facing a charge of participation in criminal street gang activity that Gunna is not facing. Now, controversially, the indictment also cites a wide range of lyrics. Oh my goodness, no, this did not just go out. Hold on, you guys. Sorry, my computer just blanked out real quick. I don't know what that was all about. But they are saying that the indictment also cites a wide range of lyrics and social media posts from Gunna, Young Thug, and other YSL artists. The district attorney's office is using Gunna's rap lyrics and music videos to build their case against him. And they are also checking to see whether Gunna is actually a gang member. And that's like at the core, at the center of his indictment, because they really saying that they don't even know if he's actually part of the gang itself, if he's really a blood, or if he's just part of their record label. So they're trying to find if he's a gang member in this indictment. His lyric, we got 1,000 round choppers from Lil Keys, as well as his appearance in that song's music video wearing jewelry that read YSL and Slat. Bars from the 2021 song Ski, I told an effing on me, called Nietzsche Nietzsche. It's a Glock he keep, Duke rolling 60s, he locked and seized. And then Take It to Trial, which says, watch me whack that bitch, pop him like a sis, Glock with the assist. These lyrics are cited in the indictment. The DA says she will exhaust all resources and leads to clean up the street from gang activity, including bringing down celebrities connected to this life. She says it does not matter what your notoriety is, what your fame is. If you come to Fulton County, Georgia, and you commit crimes, you're going to become a target and a focus of this district attorney's office. Now, Gunna is also being represented by the same attorney, like I said, Brian Steele. And when asked for a bond for Gunna, the judge denied him as well.
To an attorney, you have the right to remain silent. You're presumed innocent, and you have the right to an attorney. Your lawyer, Mr. Steele, is on the call. So let me start.
Honey, now Gunna looked like child. They was clowning Gunna because they said he looked stressed. He looked constipated. He looked like he wasn't going to make it through this call.
To an attorney.
And they only had a little brief clip of Gunna. I couldn't find the complete, the complete conference of his. But in this little clip that is going around social media, they clowning him and they saying that he just looks stressed. It looked like he can't take it.
To an attorney. You have the right to remain silent. You're presumed innocent, and you have the right to an attorney. Your lawyer, Mr. Steele, is on the call. So let me start.
So Gunna, as I stated, he is also a part of this. He is in jail, and he will remain there until he is seen before the judge again, but we don't have a date for that. So this is sad. I mean, there have been a lot of celebrities coming out, other rappers coming out speaking in behalf of, Gunna and Young Thug. Of course, the rappers, they are saying free them and everything like that. But comedian DL Hughley, he's not here for it, okay? He's an OG, and DL, DL gonna say what DL got. He gonna Hughley, okay? DL gonna Hughley, all right? DL is going to Hughley. He's going to say what he got to say. Now, he recently slammed the two of them after they were arrested, and he went on social media and really went off. He said, people seem to forget the power of life and death is in the tongue. If you call yourself Thug and Gunna, what you probably going to do is go to jail, he tweeted. He then posted the same message to Instagram alongside a video clip from Thug's arrest press conference, in which the Fulton County District Attorney Fannie T. Willis, alongside Fulton County police officers, revealed that Thug's lyrics were used as evidence in his arrest. And that was when she said, I believe in the First Amendment. It's one of the most precious rights. However, the First Amendment does not protect people from prosecutors using it as evidence if it is such. But while Hughley spoke out, slamming the two rappers over their recent arrests, other celebrities took to social media to actually express their disappointment and dismay regarding Thug and Gunna's arrest. Free Gunna, Thugger and them, rapper Fivo Foreign tweeted. And 21 Savage suggested he was heartbroken over the recent news by tweeting a lone broken heart emoji. But DL said, what do you expect by having a name like Thug and Gunna? What are you probably going to go to jail. You got a name like that, you're on your way to jail. What else do you think is going to happen? Okay? That's what he's saying. All right. Now, I'm interested to know what you guys think about this. So drop down in the comments and let me know what you think about this whole thing with Young Thug, with Gunna, with the whole YSL crew. What do you guys think about it? I feel like they get in the position, they get all this money, and they have the opportunity to take their families out of the hood and themselves. But because they are not used to living that type of a lifestyle, they're not used to money, they're not used to access, they're not used to prestige. They, the fancy jewels, the cars, the planes and all that, they can get accustomed to that because that's what these young people are into nowadays. But what it means to actually be free, to be stable, to be out of that life, they know nothing about, because secretly they still want that life. They want to be around those people so that they can brag, so that they can show off, so that people can, want what they have. They want to go around those people that are a little less fortunate than them and flash the jewelry and flash the cars, flash the money. They want to be around that. So because they come from that and they spend their entire life before they get famous competing with the boys in the neighborhood, competing with the drug dealers in the neighborhood, competing with one another to who's the best drug dealer, who the one got the most money, who the one get the most women, all this stuff. So when one of them finally makes it and they get rich, they want to come around and brag. They want to be able to go through those. And that's why they always brag about they can still go to the hood. I'm still respected in the hood. I still can pull up. But why would you want to pull up? Why would you want to risk being robbed? Why would you want to be around those type of environments? Risk pulling up like you did. You pulled up and was in it and guess what? You got pulled over and everything that was in the car because they're like, what is this type of a car doing in this neighborhood? Who is this riding around this high profile ass car? What is it doing in SWATs? What is it doing in the SWATs? It's got to be a drug dealer. It's got to be a rapper. And if it is, they've got guns in the car. They've got loads of weed. They've got pills. They've got stuff in the car. These police are not dumb. But because they can't keep themselves from being out in the streets, they got to be around there. They got to pull up and they got to show off. They can't stay away. So they actually hurt themselves even further. So it doesn't appear that Young Thug and Gunna are going to be getting out of the jailhouse. They are going to remain there, probably until, trial or, something like that. So hold on one second, guys. Sorry, guys, I'm a little parched. Let me just take a little drink, and then we're going to transition on over into these court records because it looks like, back in 2020, the YSL record label actually was being sued by a promotion company for breach of contract to the tune of $6 million. So we're going to jump into that, but quick disclaimer. We're getting ready to jump into reading some court documents. So we are not paralegals. We are not lawyers. We simply just read the documents and we make sense of it. We break it down because we can read. We use our common sense. So I like to give that quick disclaimer and play a little cute clip, and then we'll jump into the court documents. So Renee says that they might get out because the Superior Court judge will be hearing the case. The magistrate judge didn't have the authority to grant the bonds. I don't think it was just that. When we listened to it, that was some of it, but it was also because there was the other judge was already, I think, of the previous case that Young Thug is fighting or was already in trouble for. He's presiding over that. So he didn't want to make a bond in this case because of that previous thing as well. See, let's play and hear what it was he exactly said, because I would like people to, understand that piece of it as to why he did not get that bail.
Okay, and I don't think, Mr. Steele, do you have any other...
We'll start it right here.
Cases and any issues dealing with any other IALA factors, including intimidation of witnesses, they are not here. We are going to fight this case, Your Honor, all the way through until the prosecution either surrenders or a jury reaches its verdict. And I would ask you to please set a reasonable bond with whatever conditions you want. Now, with all that being said, I am not immune to what you said earlier. I understand that you have no jurisdiction, I heard you say that earlier, to deal with.
Renee, Gunna and Young Thug, they're both basically, that previous case is both of them because they were both of the ones in the car. So they both have that same case, that previous, you know, what they're in trouble for. It's both of them. So it's not just Gunna saying you watch the whole clip. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. But both of them were involved in that previous situation in that car. So that's why they didn't get the bail, because there's another judge on that. And like this judge is getting ready to say, hey, you already have these same charges on another case. And you're right back in front of me asking for bail when we gave it to you before and we let you go. And you went right back out and committed the same crimes.
The indicted offense, so I understand that even if you do set bond here today, which is what I respectfully request, Mr. Williams is still in custody because we do have a pending indictment and we're waiting for the Honorable Judge Glanville to set the hearing date for that bond.
Mr. Steele, two quick questions. One is, do you have a specific bond number in mind that you're asking the court to consider?
Yes, I would ask for a signature bond. There is no reason.
So now you see here, if the judge did not have jurisdiction and didn't have, he would not have asked him, what kind of bond were you? Okay, hold on for 1 second. All right, so I don't know if you just joined the video, but I want to make sure that you're, you know, up on what it is that we're covering and what we've covered. So Gunna and Young Thug. Young Thug does not have any prior convictions either. They don't have prior convictions because they are not convicted of that case yet. It's an open case. So they don't, neither one of them have prior records because they haven't been found guilty of anything. But they have an open case prior to this one. And that's what some of their charges are stemming from. We just read that. So let me read that for you. Because I want people to understand what it is that they're dealing with. You know, exactly what the two of them are in trouble for. Okay. So Gunna turned himself in 2 days after Young Thug. He's conspiracy violating the RICO Act, accused of possession with the intent to distribute methamphetamine, hydrocodone, and marijuana, and theft by receiving stolen property. Okay? And that is because the indictment references a May 2018 incident. Gunna's attorney is not Don Samuel. Gunna's attorney is the same attorney as Young Thug, which is the Brian, what is his name? His name is Brian Steele. Now, Brian Steele is the one that represented on the Zoom call, but they could have a number of attorneys. That could be another one, like Don Samuel could be actually, you know, working with them from the firm. But the one that actually they sent down there, honey, was Brian Steele. They sent Brian Steele on both occasions. They sent Brian Steele for thugs, and they sent Brian Steele for Gunna. Because in Gunna's actual, if you listen to that recording, okay, so when we're going to play the clip of Gunna, and you're going to hear the judge actually call Mr. Steele's name. Okay, and you're going to see Mr. Steele's name on, on the screen because he's representing the both of them. I don't know if this Don Samuel, if he is somebody that is on there as well, because there's multiple people on the stream. But Brian Steele is an attorney that is representing YSL. Okay. So we'll show, we'll play it so you can see it. But let me finish reading that so people would know exactly what it is that, because we got to have the right information. Okay. So Gunna and Young Thug, the indictment references a May 2018 incident where Gunna and Thug were stopped for speeding. The car that was following them closely, because you know how these rappers travel in entourages. Okay. They travel in entourages. All right. That car had guns in it. All right. So when they stopped them, they had stuff in the car and stuff like that. So that is what is also being referenced in this. Okay. So they haven't, like this lawyer says here, Brian, he says that he's been trying to get that case closed. He's been trying to get them to hear it, but they haven't done anything on it. They have not made any movement on it. So they don't know anything. It's in limbo, which is why this particular judge didn't do anything with that, giving them bond because of that case, because it is the same charges, some of it that they're right back in front of him for. So he's like, I'm not trying to hear that. You are at flight risk and you're at risk to commit additional felonies when you get out. Great, Renee. Great. We're talking about what happened right now. And we're talking about, what went on in court right now with the clips that we're reviewing and, what is going on. Usually when you have an attorney and a high-powered people like this, they got multiple people coming from the same firm. Like Cardi B, when we go over her case, she's got more than one attorney. She's got 2 or 3 of them. So Brian Steele is actually the one that's speaking on the Zoom clips.
These are people, they are not convicted felons. They are business people. They are college graduates, and they have been around the world with Mr. Williams.
Okay, well, I do want to just acknowledge their presence here today. I always thank anybody who's here on a case. It could be someone here on behalf of the defense, it can be the victim, whoever it is. We always welcome everybody to the court, and I do consider your support of Mr. Williams as I consider bond at this time. And Mr. Smith, to be fair to both sides, do you have anybody on this call?
No, state does not, Your Honor.
Okay, I'd want to acknowledge anybody on either side of the case. But gentlemen, thank you to both of you. Now, I do want to just clarify, Mr. Smith, my understanding is that Mr. Williams, Jeffrey Williams, was indicted a couple days ago on the 22 SC Judge Glanville case, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And any bond that's to be considered on that case, per the delegation order from Judge Brasher, is going to go to Judge Glanville, and that's not before me today.
That's also correct.
Okay. And it's the state's position. You're asking for no bond. Mr. Steele's asking for a reasonable bond, preferably an unsecured judicial release.
Okay. I'm eating these chips. Hold on. I'm sorry, guys. All right. Now let's just play Gunna's clip real quick. and then we're going to hear that Mr. Steele is also representing him as well.
To an attorney. You have the right to remain silent. You're presumed innocent, and you have the right to an attorney. Your lawyer, Mr. Steele, is on the call.
All right. So did you just hear that? He said, your lawyer, Mr. Steele, is on the call. I thought that's what I heard.
To an attorney. You have the right to remain silent. You're presumed innocent, and you have the right to an attorney. Your lawyer, Mr. Steele, is on the call. So let me start.
So I don't know, again, if they have a team of lawyers or what, but I believe not going to watch the whole thing right now because I'm doing this. And so once we get done, I might, but I really don't need to because we already did, what we had to do, girl. But we just showed you, honey, that Mr. Steele is representing both of them. And I don't know if it's just, they have like a bunch of people at that law firm, but it's clear that Mr. Steele was on there, right? So Samuel and all the rest of them, it doesn't matter. That's just not going to help him in fighting these, charges, right? I don't think anybody's in, denial that his ass and Young Thug are in some serious trouble. So let's just finish this up. I want you guys to hear the rest of this.
The reason for the state's request is risk of flight and considerations going to people who've not been arrested yet, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor, in addition to, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, Mr. Steele, I just want to be clear on this. Your client has no felony convictions. He does have an open DeKalb felony case from 4 years ago. So it's a while ago now. It's been up on appeal. It's back in the DA's office. Your perspective is it's not really getting any traction at this point, but the allegations are meth with intent and sale of marijuana.
There's a small amount. They're in a car. He's with two other people. The items are in a briefcase, and on the body camera, a passenger stated that that's my drugs. And
yes,
that's it.
Okay. Thank you both. You both do a great service to your clients, and it makes the court's job, I think, a lot easier to do. So thank you both. Now, let me get back to you, Mr. Williams. So the court does find probable cause for the listed charges, like I mentioned earlier, based on the warrants. And at this time, the court's not going to set a bond. I do find that you're a flight risk. And I do agree for bond purposes with the entirety of the state's argument. I will say also, though, the court is very strongly considering that you've got 22 SC 182873 related to this same investigation before Judge Glanville. And I don't want to restrict Judge Glanville from making a decision on bond in regards to everything so that he can balance everything. So that's the order of the court today. It's no bond for those reasons.
All right. So did we see why there was no bond? He said it was no bond for those reasons. It was not that he didn't have jurisdiction. It was that he didn't want to restrict the previous judge because this case was already, open, and he wanted him to not have any restrictions when making a bond set for that. So he's going to let him determine bond for everything because there's already an open case. So it wasn't that he didn't have jurisdiction. So the only reason why I wanted to clear that up, because a lot of times when you guys are in the chat and if you give information, and it's no disrespect to you, because I like you, Renee. You are always coming here. So I hope you don't take it that way. And please, the viewers and anyone watching this, don't take it like I'm coming for Renee or Renee's coming for me or we're having a difference of opinion. Because really, I don't want her to distract people from the information that I'm giving them. And I don't want people to be confused because I'm actually giving out information and then she's in the chat saying something else as though I'm, and I don't want people to say, well, which thing is it? Renee is saying something different and Sweet Pea is saying something, but I'm going off of the receipts that I have and what is actually being stated by these judges and the lawyers, and I'm going off of that information. So I don't want people to be confused. I want them to have the right information. So when she's in the chat saying one thing and I'm saying something else, that can confuse people. So that's why I'm trying to clear that up. And that's all that was. That wasn't she wasn't being shady. I wasn't being shady, but I just want to keep my viewers and people that are reading the chat, I want to keep them on track. So, you guys got to be careful when doing that, when commenting, and you're giving out information. You got to make sure that information is accurate. Because if you're saying something different than I'm saying, people are, going to say, well, who's telling us the right thing? And if I'm the one giving the information and doing the video, then my information has to be credible. Right? So she says for Gunna's hearings because of the jurisdiction. Okay. So that could be a thing. I don't know. But I do know that the Steele attorney was the same one. I was addressing that comment you said. And now you're saying, Gunna. And in the beginning, it kind of was like, that's not, it was like you were saying, Young Thug didn't get the bond because of the superior judge versus the magistrate judge. And I just wanted to clear that up. So I really don't think that it really makes a difference, why Gunna didn't get a bond and why Young Thug didn't get bond. I think what we need to focus on is why these rappers are still doing this shit and they are millionaires. Why do they still feel that they gotta play in the sandbox with gang members and dope dealers when they are multimillionaires? And I think the labels need to take some accountability. All right. So let's just move on. Thank you, Renee. I appreciate you, girl, for interacting in the chat because that gives us engagement. So thank you so much. Y'all go ahead and hit that like button so we can get some more engagement and the video could get recommended. All that helps the channel. So we're going to talk about what is actually going on with this lawsuit that YSL, Young Thug has against AEG. And this is a company that is something like Promoters, and they promote concerts. And yeah, he was a flight risk. Yes. Right. They might still get out, and hey, I hope they get out. Nobody want to be locked up because that jail is deplorable conditions. But he is being sued. This case is still in the courts. They actually have, I think, a jury trial starts in October of 2022. But what is going on with this is that AEG is alleging that they owe them $6 million. All right. You heard me. $6 million. So we're going to go through these court documents. We're going to read them. I'm going to take a pop of this Gatorade and we're going to jump into it. Give me 1 second. All right, I had to take me a drink of my cold pop. Oh my God. Queen says Lil Keed is dead. That just happened? Is that the one that's part of YSL? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What are these kids doing? What are these kids doing? All right. So let's get into these documents. So the plaintiff AEG brings this complaint against YSL and Young Stoner Life Publishing. And they allege the following. This is a civil action seeking monetary damages, specific performance, and injunctive relief on claims brought under California law for breach of contracts, specific performance of security agreements, and injunctive relief and declaratory relief, all arising out of the failure of YSL and Young Thug to pay AEG about $6 million owed under various agreements entered into on 2016 and 2017 with regard to concert tours by Young Thug. The court has subject matter and original jurisdiction over all claims for relief asserted herein because complete diversity of citizenship exists between AEG on the one hand and defendants on the other hand. Mr. Williams is a resident of Georgia for purposes of diversity jurisdiction, as are YSL and YSLP, which are Georgia limited liability companies whose sole member is Mr. Williams. Now, the amount in controversy exceeds $75,000, exclusive of interest and costs. The court has personal jurisdiction over the defendants because they regularly conduct business in California. They have principal places of business in Los Angeles. And YSL and Mr. Williams entered into agreements with a California company consenting to personal jurisdiction in Los Angeles County. Now, the venue is proper in this judicial district pursuant to law 28 USC because a substantial part of the events or omissions giving rise to the claim occurred, and because YSL and Mr. Williams entered into agreements with AEG consenting to venue in Los Angeles. Now they just go in here and say that AEG is a limited liability company that comes from Delaware, breaks down their corporation and their umbrella and such. And then they get into the factual allegations. Now, in 2016, there were some agreements. AEG and YSL entered into an artist agreement, and it was dated as of November 8th, 2016. And they have the exhibits of these contracts. YSL executed a promissory note dated as of October 14th, 2016, in the principal amount of $3,000 in favor of AEG in connection with the 2016 artist agreement. So he didn't give them any money up front. He didn't pay them up front with money. He paid them up front and secured them with a promissory note of $300,000. Young Thug did. Hold on one second. One moment. I'm sorry, y'all, but I have to eat little bites and stuff of this. I'm eating a little hoagie, honey, and some chips and a Gatorade. All right. And, you know, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I didn't eat dinner. And I try not to let you guys hear that because it's rude, you know. So Cartier White says, I'm new to the channel and I thank you for your work. Oh, thank you. Hey, Tammy. We tried to give informative, content. All right. So he did, he gave this, he gave a promissory note. Okay. He gave a promissory note. Child. Now, on or about October 14, 2016, Mr. Williams executed an inducement letter in connection with the 2016 promissory note. In 2016, he agreed to perform and discharge all of YSL's obligations, warranties, and undertakings contained in the 2016 note. YSL owes AEG $126,324.60 under the 2016 artist agreement and the 2016 promissory note, which debt is comprised of an unearned advance of $120,000 and $6,324.60 in vendor payments above artist earnings. And then they have an Exhibit A to a letter sent to AEG by YSL and Mr. Williams on August 29, 2019. Pursuant to the 2016 agreements, YSL and Mr. Williams are obligated to pay such amounts to AEG. This total sum owing under the 2016 artist agreement and the promissory note was liquidated by no later than August 29, 2019. Hence, prejudgment interest at the legal rate of 10% per annum, which equates to a daily rate of $34.61, has accrued and is continuing to accrue on such sums since no later than August 29, 2019. Now, the 2017 agreements. AEG on the one hand and YSL on the other hand entered into an artist agreement dated on July 10, 2017, pursuant to which YSL agreed to grant AEG the exclusive right to promote concert performances by Young Thug throughout the world for a stated term. So they made an agreement with him that they would be able to promote all of his concerts. Now, under the terms of the 2017 artist agreement, AEG, now here we go, y'all. Now, y'all getting ready to hear this. This is crazy what they do for these artists. This is crazy, all right? Crazy what they do for these artists. Under the terms of the 2017 artist agreement, AEG advanced the sum of $5,250 to $5,250,000 to YSL, Young Thug now, in advance. In connection therewith, YSL executed a promissory note dated July 10, 2017 in the original principal amount of $5,250,000 in favor of AEG. A true and correct copy of the 2017 note is attached as Exhibit A. On or about July 10th, 2017, Mr. Williams executed an inducement letter in connection with the 2017 artist agreement, and then they attached it and all that. In 2017 guarantee, Mr. Williams agreed to perform and discharge all of YSL's obligations, warranties, and undertakings contained in the agreement. Despite having granted AEG the exclusive right to promote Mr. Williams' concert performances under the terms of their agreement, YSL and Mr. Williams immediately failed and refused to honor their respective obligations under the agreement by, among other things, disregarding AEG's rights, performing concerts without AEG's involvement and retaining all the proceeds generated from it. You heard that? I'm going to read that again. Give me 1 second. I'm going to chew this up and I'm going to read that again. Makeup Lover says, thank you, Sweet Pea, for not chewing in our ears. I was raised better than that, honey. I don't like to hear people chew. I think it is so irritating. It takes away from the, content of the video. I can't focus when people get to chewing, child, and it just pisses me off. And a lot of times I leave the video when people start eating. I don't know what etiquette. It's like, when you're on a microphone, an earpiece, a phone, whatever it is, it's like magnified. And when you get to chewing and shit, that shit is irritating. So yes, no problem. I will always try to be conscious of that. Oh, you need me to turn the volume up just a little? Okay. Okay. How is that? Is that better? Let me know if that is better. Because we are working with a very sensitive microphone. So I try to keep it lower down some so it's not super loud. Because if I put it up too much, it'll be too loud. So let me know if that's better. All right. So let's get back into this, honey, because he did not do what he was supposed to do. So they fronted him $5.2 million. All right. They almost 5.3 was $5,250,000 they gave him. Cartier, is that a little bit better? I turned it up. So let me know if that's good. So they advanced him that. And so he agreed to go and do concerts and everything and let them get the proceeds. Well, instead of fulfilling his obligation, he started performing concerts without AEG's involvement. And he retained all the proceeds that was generated. So Makeup Lover says a lot of rappers too sign shit they do not fully understand. And really, he understood what he was doing. He got their money and he got an advance and he went on about his business. Because also in 2017, he filed bankruptcy. He filed Chapter 13. He filed a Chapter 13 bankruptcy in 2017. So he probably thought that he was going to be able to sign his debt off. Right? So that might have been because when I was doing the research for this, I said, wow, he filed bankruptcy. Him and I don't know if he's married but it looked like a woman, with the same last name as him. And I was like, oh, I didn't know he was married. But she was on that paperwork too. I don't know if he was married back in 2017 or whatever, but it was him and I don't know if it was a family member or what, but I don't know. Wife, I don't know, but it was him and another woman and they both had the same last name and they filed bankruptcy in 2017. So they gave him almost $5.3 million. And he was supposed to perform. He did do it, but he didn't give them any of the proceeds that he would make from these concerts. So it says that YSL never paid to AEG any portion of that money. All right. No interest, nothing. In addition, YSL received revenue from Young Thug's concert performances that it was contractually required to pay to AEG under the terms of their 2017 artist agreement in excess of any remuneration. Oh my God. Due from such performances in a total amount of at least $363,700, and it failed and refused to pay such revenue to AEG. Now, in response to YSL's and Mr. Williams' failure to honor their respective obligations under the artist agreement and their total disregard for AEG's rights, AEG decided to exercise its right to opt out of any further obligation to promote Mr. Williams' concerts and to end the term of their agreement early. AEG delivered to YSL and Mr. Williams a notice of exercising opt-out right dated August 29, 2019. In the opt-out notice, AEG exercised its rights to opt out of the continued promotion of tour events and to end the term of the 2017 artist agreement early. As the result of AEG's exercise of its opt-out rights, YSL was to be credited with a payment of $250,000 under the 2017 note as of the date of the opt-out notice, which credit was acknowledged in the opt-out notice. Under paragraph 15 of the 2017 artist agreement and the terms of the 2017 note, YSL agreed to pay $5 million of the advance plus interest that occurred to AEG. The opt-out notice made demand on YSL and Mr. Williams to pay the principal sum due and owing under the 2016 agreements and the principal interest due under their agreement. The principal balance of the note was $5 million. Interest had accrued on the unpaid principal amount, and that amount was $307,433.92. The sum of $363,000 due and owing under the 2017 artist agreement as a result of YSL's failure to pay AEG's its share of pool revenue received, and then the sum of $126,324 due, and then the result of an opt-out notice of the term of that notice. It ended on September 4th, 2019. Interest continued to accrue at $821.92 per day, resulting in an additional amount owed of $28,767 in just interest, making the total due date of the 2017's maturity date in the amount to $336,201. So they tacked all of this on, and it totaled up to $5,699,901.64 as of October 4th, 2019. And to date, they have not paid them. They had not paid them any of that money. So they had a security agreement in the promissory note that Young Thug created, and he had pledged collateral to secure that $5 million that he got up front. And in the agreement, the collateral was the note about collateral. It says, to secure the faithful and timely performance of YSL's obligations hereunder and YSL's obligation under the artist agreement, and all extensions, modifications, substitutions, replacements, and renewals of all such obligations, collectively the secured obligations, YSL hereby grants to AEG a security interest on all of YSL's right, title, and interest in, to, and under the following properties, assets, and rights, wherever located, whether now owned or hereafter acquired or arising, all collectively the collateral, all accounts, and general intangibles, including without limitation, all software, payment intangibles, trademarks and copyrights, documents and contracts, and all proceeds, replacements, substitutions, products, accessions, and increases of any thereof in any form as those terms are or may be hereafter be defined in the California Commercial Code from time to time in effect. So he initially, when formulating this promissory note, he promised that they would be able to secure this loan in advance or whatever, based off of them being able to own their trademarks, copyrights, intangibles. So it was basically like, if you give us this, well, we'll use this, put this up as a guarantee. So AEG perfected its security interest in the YSL collateral by filing a UCC financing statement with the Clerk of Superior Court in Fulton County. Pursuant to the terms of the 2017 guarantee, which was governed by California law, Mr. Williams agreed to perform and discharge all of YSL's obligations, warranties, and undertakings contained in the 2017 Artist Agreement, which, for the avoidance of doubt, included the 2017 note. Mr. Williams pledged certain collateral in favor of AEG to secure all of his obligations under the security agreement. And the guarantee was as follows: to secure all of its obligations under Mr. Williams hereby grants a security interest to AEG in all of his present and future right, title, and interest in and all of the following property now owned or hereafter acquired: all accounts, general intangibles, software, payment intangibles, trademarks, and copyrights, documents and contracts, and all proceeds, replacements, substitutions, products, accessions, and increases of any thereof in any form. Okay, and agrees to reasonably cooperate with AEG's efforts to perfect such security interests in all such property. Now, when they say property there, I don't believe that they're talking about, hey, Information Man Show. I don't believe that they're talking about real estate or anything like that. I think they're talking about, copyright, music or any type of work, that he's doing that would have a copyright attached to it. Intangibles, trademarks. It says payment intangibles, general intangibles, all accounts, software, so he basically said, I'm putting up that type of stuff and for you to give me this money. And he still never paid these people, so they sued him and they want their money. So that's basically what this is saying. So because he, they wasn't going to stop. They weren't gonna just say, okay, well, you put this stuff, you said that you're going to put this stuff up, your copyrights, your trademarks and everything, and you're not going to give us our money, so we're coming for that stuff. So AEG perfected its security interest in the Mr. Williams collateral under the security agreement included in the 2017 guarantee by filing a UCC financing statement to the Clerk of Superior Courts. By sending to the U.S. Copyright Office by overnight mail in December of 2019 and July 28, 2020, forms, documents, cover sheets for recordation of documents, attaching a copy of the guarantee, and identifying registered copyrights that were known to be in the name of Mr. Williams, in which AEG stated that it held a security interest in such copyrights, but only as to Mr. Williams' interest in such copyrights. So they sent this paperwork to the Copyright Office and said, basically, we got claim to this. So we want any copyrights, trademarks, anything that is attached to his name. We would like you to hand that over to us because we have a security interest. AEG submitted a copy of the 2017 guarantee to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. So they went a step further. After they sent the copyright paperwork, to the Copyright Office, asking for any copyright that he might have, and that's going to be copyrights on his music, things like that. Any copyrights, we want that. They then took it a step further and went to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office They wanted to know if they can give them grant of a security interest in the Young Thug registered mark. The security interest was recorded on December 5th, 2019 under the applicable law. However, recordation is unnecessary to perfect the security interest in the trademark. So according to the Copyright Office database, YSLP identified variously as Young Stoner for Life Publishing, Young Stoner Life Publishing, Young Stoner Life Publishing LLC, and Young Stoner Life Publishing is a copyright claimant on 34 copyright registrations for music on which Mr. Williams is an identified author, with dates of publication ranging from 2017 to 2020. AEG is informed and believes and based thereon alleges that Mr. Williams may have purported to assign additional copyrights to YSLP that have not yet been registered with the Copyright Office. Together, any copyrights as to which YSLP is the registered owner or that have purportedly been assigned to Mr. Williams to YSLP are referred to herein collectively as the YSLP claimed copyrights. Attached is a true and correct copy of a spreadsheet with the information from that office, and it identifies all 34 copyright registrations to which they are named as the copyright holder. Now, AEG is informed and believes and based upon alleges that at the time that Mr. Williams purported to assign to YSLP some or all of the claimed copyrights, such copyrights constituted collateral that was subject to the security agreement in paragraph 5 of their 2017 guarantee, because Mr. Williams held such copyrights as of July 10th, 2017, and the date of the 2017 promises guarantee or such works were created after that date. AEG is informed and believes that AEG's security interest in any YSLP claimed copyrights has priority over any interest that YSLP claims to have copyrights. So they basically came for the copyrights and the patents. Now, neither YSL nor Mr. Williams has provided AEG with any of the collateral or documents requested in the note of default, which is itself a default under the 2017 agreements. So their claim for relief, they are asking for the amount of $5,336,201.64. They are also asking for interest, $363,700, and it's the total amount bumps it up to $5,699,901. All right. So they want the money. And I'm just going through the rest of it just to see if there's any additional. It's terrible. See if there's any no, that's basically it. All right, so what the prayer for relief, what they're asking the court to do, they want that money. They want them to grant the damages in the amount according to proof for prejudgment interest. They want an order adjudging that AEG is entitled to immediate and exclusive possession of the YSL collateral and Mr. Williams' collateral for the purpose of exercising its rights as a lien holder under the terms of the 2017 note. So they want those copyrights and trademarks. They want to be a lien holder on that because he stated that he was using it as collateral. And that's basically what I said in the beginning, that it was like a lien. All right. You guys, I got to use the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. All right, thank you for waiting. I had to use the restroom. But yeah, that's basically what has happened in this. And then they had the nerve to want to try and reach some type of settlement. Okay? They wanted to try to reach some type of settlement deal. So they had a Zoom hearing on September 14th at which the court held a video settlement conference because they wanted to try to see if they can somehow